Welcome back everybody to lecture 2 on concept of GST. So in first lecture what we discussed? We discussed what is the historical background of indirect tax from ancient India with current examples to make you understand what is indirect tax. Then we discussed about the features of indirect tax. We also discussed in the last video what is the difference between direct and indirect tax and constitutional provisions in relation to applicability of tax, validity of tax in India. So all this we discussed. But the major indirect tax now is GST. GST is not good night, sweet dream, take care. GST is goods and services tax. So we have to discuss about goods and services tax. But I feel I'll take you again back to multiple indirect tax system so that you understand the importance of the GST, right? So multiple experiments in the world, all that I have put together to make you understand how indirect taxes systems were implemented, why that systems failed, why that system doesn't apply to India. In very short time, I'll try to explain. Okay. And then you will taste the subject GST in a next level. So let's start. Hey, in this slide you see various systems of indirect tax we are discussing. So first system is single point tax system. Now what this single point tax system says? That you have to levy indirect tax only at one point. Now for example, I made it very simple, right? I did not go into technicalities, made it simple just to make you understand. There are three layers. One is manufacturer, second is wholesaler, third one is retail. Now one selling for 100, second selling for 150, third selling for 180. Now if single point tax system is there, only at one point, at the starting point, tax will be levied. Let's assume 10% is the rate of tax. So on 100 rupees is the value at the starting point, correct? So 100 rupees into 10%, 10 rupees will come. So 10 rupees is the tax which government has to collect. No confusion, no tension, right? No need to check everybody. What is the origin? What is the first person selling? Will tax that person only. That's how government thinks in single point tax system. But is this system successful? The answer is no, it's a failure. Why? Because government could have got 15 rupees if they collect tax on 115 to 10%. They would have got 18 rupees if they would have collected tax on 118 to 10%. So government lost the revenue in single point tax system and it's a loss to the government. So this system is not good, right? When there is a value addition, then government should also get some share from it. But here, value addition is there, but there is no share to the government. So this system failed. Now second system I will discuss is retail tax system. Here also same manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer. I did not change the numbers only so that you can compare and understand things better. Okay. In retail, the last seller will be asked to collect the tax and pay. So at all earlier stages, like manufacturer stage, wholesaler stage, there is no tax at all. So when we talk about retailer, 180 rupees is the sale price, 10% tax, 18 rupees tax. Now government is getting full tax, no problem at all. On complete value addition, government is going to get the tax here. So what is the problem? No problem at all. But in India, if this system is implemented, let the government find the retailer. Is it possible? Right? Because in India, retail business is mostly a unorganized sector. So retail system is a failure for India. In America, still that system exists. in some states. Okay. So retail tax system for us, it's a feedback. Now come to third system, that is multi-point tax system. Right? That means at manufacturer level, 100 rupees is the price, 10% is the tax, 10 rupees tax government will collect. Second point is wholesaler, 150 rupees is the price, 10% is the tax, 15 rupees tax government will collect. And third point, retailer is the seller, 180 rupees is the price, 10% is the rate of tax, 180 into 10%, 18 rupees is the tax. So what did we learn? That at every point of sale in the supply chain, the government is collecting the tax. Is it a good system? Government is super happy. Why? Because you see, 10 plus 15 plus 18, how much? 43 rupees tax government is going to get. In single point tax system, only 10 rupees. In retail tax system, only 18 rupees. In multi-point tax system, 43 rupees. Massive collection of taxes. But then, customers are not at all happy. The society is not happy. And that's why this system fails. Because it creates huge inflation. Correct? The prices of goods increase. Unnecessarily, you are paying tax on the same value again and again. So that's why multi-point tax system is looting the society. So it's not at all a good system. Consumers are not happy. So this system failed. But this system has an advantage. Government is very happy. At every stage, government is getting some money. So government is happy. So what government said, let us not trouble the people. Let us implement same multi-point tax system, but only on the value addition. So what they did, multi-point tax system only on the value addition. So suppose 100 rupees is the value at manufacturer level, 10% tax. So it will come to 10 rupees. Now earlier was there any value? Nothing. So output tax is 10 rupees, right? Is there any input here? No. So we'll call it as nil. So 10 minus 0, 10 rupees is the final tax which manufacturer should pay to government. Now come to wholesaler level. Wholesaler level, 150 rupees is the sale value. 10% tax. So 15 rupees tax will come. But in 15 rupees tax, already 10 paid, correct? So what is the additional amount on which tax should be paid? Right? Earlier the value was 100. Now the value is 150. So how much is the additional value? Only 50 rupees. On that 10%. So that means 5 rupees should have been paid. So what we do is, we'll calculate output tax, that is 150 into 10%, 15 rupees. Then we'll calculate input tax. We already have 10 rupees. So output tax minus input tax, 15 minus 10, 5 rupees will come. This is how we'll charge multi-point tax system on value addition. Similarly, from wholesaler to retailer, right? 180 rupees is the sale price, 10% is the rate of tax, 180 into 10%, 18 rupees, correct? Now, input tax is totally 15, right? 10 plus 5, already 15 paid. So 18 minus 15 will be just 3 rupees, right? This is the net tax payable. So there are two ways in which we can do. But in our exams, what is practiced? That I have shown it here. Multi-point tax system on value addition. Calculate tax on the sale value and call it as output tax. Whatever tax paid on purchases, call it as input tax. give credit of it, and ask to pay balance tax only. That's why we got 15 minus 10, 5 rupees. This much only wholesaler will pay to government. Retailer will pay 18 minus 15, only 3 rupees to the government. So at every stage, are we paying tax on the entire value? The answer is no. We are paying tax only on the value addition, only on the new additional value created, right? There is no double taxing of the same value. This is what the advantage of multi-point tax system on value addition. And government also adopted this system, multi-point tax system on value addition. So it is not going to create inflation, right? It is fair on the consumer and also on the government. See the numbers. Multi-point tax system on value addition. See the numbers. Manufacturer paid 10 rupees tax. Wholesaler paid 5 rupees tax. Retailer paid 3 rupees tax. Now when you do the total, 18 rupees. So government got complete tax. Customer also don't have any problem. And moreover, the chances that people can escape tax is reduced, because at every stage government is collecting the tax. So you will have to pay the tax somehow. You cannot escape complete tax. That's the advantage with multi-point tax system on value addition. Now let me tell you, this is a good system. India also implemented this. Across the globe, almost every country follows this system only for indirect tax. That is multi-point tax system on value addition. Right? Now, then what was the problem with the system? Why actually government removed these taxes and brought GST? Think about multi-point tax system. If suppose only one tax is there, only single tax is there, then multi-point tax system will perfectly work. But if suppose tax collecting authorities are different, like suppose some taxes are collected by central government, some taxes are collected by state government, then multiple authorities are there. How will you be able to pay the fair amount of tax? Right? If you have to do output minus input, the authorities are different. Central government collecting tax separately, state government collecting taxes separately. How can multi-point tax system on value addition be super effective? It cannot be. I'll show you what are the old indirect tax laws. Just see this. Central government was to charge service tax. So it is purely central government's law. Right? Whatever services are provided, on that service tax is charged. So central government only will collect the tax. Right? Similarly, excise duty on manufacture of goods and service. Goods. On manufacture of goods only. Here also central government will collect the tax. Now, if multi-point tax system on value addition is imposed with these two taxes, perfectly fine. Because single authority, correct? Single government, central government. So it can be managed. It was managed in the past also. Right? Excise credit was there, like excise input credit, service output used, service input credit, excise output, for that it was used. So there was no problem with this. But think about CST, Central Sales Tax. That means sale from one state to another. On that tax is there. Central Sales Tax, that is tax on sale of goods from one state to another. Now this law is made by central government, but tax is collected by state government. Now second authority of tax came into picture. See VAT, value added tax. It is a tax on sale within one state. Suppose I made some product in Telangana and sold the goods in Telangana itself. Then VAT was imposed. So it is law is made by state government and tax also collected by state government only. So now think about, there are some laws where central government actually makes the law, collects the tax. Some laws where state government make the laws, they collect. Some laws where central make the law and state collects. Now in this type of multi-authority taxation structure of our country, is it possible that you can effectively implement multi-point tax system on value addition? Right? There should be single authority to collect the tax. Then only this will become successful. Right? So, to solve this problem, GST was brought into picture. So, what GST says? One nation, one tax. So, almost all taxes removed, only one tax is there, or very rarely some taxes are there. So, the problem that you will not be able to enjoy that seamless flow of credit. These words are heavy for you, correct? Like I said, 150 minus 10, 18 minus 15. This is completely seamlessly, whatever taxes you paid at earlier stage, you are able to adjust and pay only tax on the value addition. This is possible only if single authority is there or single tax system across the country is there. And for that purpose, this goods and services tax was brought. I'll tell you further what are the problems or deficiencies in existing indirect tax system. Now, see, there are so many taxes. Like you see, you have central sales tax, value added tax, central excise duty, state level luxury tax, state level entertainment tax, octroi tax, purchase tax, entry tax, countervailing duty tax, right? Special countervailing duty tax. Are so many taxes. Now, businessman should do business or he has to look at this tax, that tax, or how to manage all this tax. What should a businessman do? Right? Now, if there are many taxes, it's not over. The problem starts here. I'll tell you the problem starts here. Because in that multiple laws also, multiple rates of tax for each law. Correct? For different goods, different rates. For different services, different rates. Like that, multiple rates of taxes were there. Then every law has their own procedure for actually doing some compliances, right? Every month or quarter, you have to give details of your income, your details of your sales, service provision, right? Tax paid to the authority, yes or no? Right? So, lot of procedural things are there, lot of compliances is there. All that burden is there in the existing tax system. Existing means not today. I'm talking about in the year 2017, right? When the GST came into picture, at that time, so many problems were there. Now think about multiple laws, multiple tax rates, right? Multiple procedures, multiple due dates for filing returns, multiple due dates for payment of tax, lot of compliance burden, right? For a businessman, all this is unnecessary. And how can a business grow in India? How can a corporate flourish in India with all these headache? Beyond all this, corruption is always there to torture, correct? So these were all the problems which were faced. Now I'll tell you one more problem. I have to tell with numbers. Don't get confused. It is very simple. Suppose 100 rupees is the manufacturing cost of a product. On that, 10% is the excise duty. So how much it became? 100 plus 10%, 110 rupees. Correct? 100 plus 10%, 10 rupees is the tax. 100 plus 10, 110 rupees is the tax plus manufacturing cost. Then we added profit of 40 and we made the sale price to be 150. Now on that, suppose again there is another tax called as VAT, value added tax. Again let's assume it is 10%, right? On 150, 10% will be 15 rupees. Now, is 15 rupees only on the sale value? The answer is partially yes and partially no. Why? Because in this 150, manufacturing cost of 100, profit of 40 and excise duty of 10 is there. So the 10% which we applied is not only on the manufacturing cost, not only on the profit, but also on the tax element, on the excise duty element. So if excise duty is 10 rupee, 10% of it, 1 rupee will be VAT on it. So you are paying tax first, and on that tax, again you are paying further tax. Is this fair? Paying tax on tax, is it fair? The answer is no. This is called as cascading effect of taxation. This is called as what? Cascading effect of taxation. So when it is cascading effect of taxation, it is troublesome. I already explained to you that different taxing authorities, different tax laws. So that's why multi-point tax system on value addition is still creating problem for businesses. Even though it's a unique thing, still creating problem. Why? Because multiple tax authorities, multiple tax laws. Right? State has different, central has different. Tax on tax, again we are paying. Right? If it is tax on value addition, no problem. But if it is tax on again tax, it's a problem. That's the major concern which we face. Now, input tax credit is also not available. Suppose you paid 10 rupees excise duty to central government. 15 rupees you are paying to state government VAT. Value added tax. 15 rupees you are paying to state government. Are they ready to adjust with each other? Whatever tax they are ready to set off? The answer is no. They are not ready to adjust with each other, set off the taxes with each other. So unnecessarily you are paying 25 rupees tax. Right? 10 rupee excise duty, 15 rupees VAT. Right? So this way there is an increase in taxes. Okay? Tax on tax, double tax on the same value, all these problems were faced. Moreover, if suppose we can do 15 minus 10 and pay 5 rupees only, still no problem. Right? It is perfectly in line with principles of multi-point tax system on value addition. But here you are paying 15 rupees to state government, 10 rupees to central government. They are not ready to adjust with each other. People are facing problem. Input tax credit also not available. Right? So input tax credit means 15 minus 10. That minus 10 what we can do actually is not allowed. That's the problem. Input tax credit not available. Like in our old example, like 100, 150, 180, what we did? 180 10% tax 18 rupees. Minus 15 we did. If you are not allowed to deduct 15 rupees, you are paying huge taxes, correct? So this was non-availability of input tax credit is a big challenge, right? Then there are tax nakas. What is tax nakas? Let me explain to you. Every state has a border, and in the border, whatever highway the goods actually travel, there the tax authorities were to stand. Why? Because if you sell goods from one state to another, obviously on that CST was there, central sales tax. To collect the central sales tax, tax authorities were to stand there on the main roads, on the borders of the state. Now what happens because of this? They will stop the goods, carriage vehicles, they will check everything, whether tax is paid or not. So because of that, what happened? The transport vehicles have to stop for some time. And because they are stopping again and again, what is happening? The cost and the time of transportation, or in technical language, logistics cost was increasing. Now, if logistics cost is increasing, it is not at all good for the economy. Okay. Similarly, the businessmen were to think wherever the tax is less, in that state I'll set up the business. So again, a competition between the states to reduce the tax. Businessman is not looking at where I can actually set up the business so that I can make more profits, I can grow my business. He is not thinking this. He is thinking about saving the tax because there are so many, right? When 100 people actually surround you to beat you, what will you do? You will not attack. You actually will think about surviving, escaping, right? So businessman was thinking in that way. And this was the problem which actually was faced. Now, businesses becoming incompetent because they don't have business orientation. They have only tax saving orientation. Now, if you are just thinking about tax saving, you cannot grow as a businessman. If you think about aggressively growing the business, then you grow. Correct? So, logistics cost was increasing. Industries, businesses were focusing on tax saving rather than business growth. Now, we should put an end to all these problems. And for that, on 1st July 2017, on which date? 1st July 2017, GST, Goods and Services Tax, was introduced. What was introduced? Goods and Services Tax. Okay. Now, it's introduced. But then if I ask you what is GST, you should be able to tell now. So let's discuss what is GST. So it is defined in the Constitution itself. What they said? Article 366, Clause 12A. Now whenever you have to read like this. Article 366, Clause 12A. What it says? GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. Except alcoholic liquor on human consumption. Except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So that means on any goods, on any services supplied in the country, GST is leviable. But on the supply of alcoholic liquor, the answer is no. There is no GST. Right? So as of now, the council kept alcoholic liquor for human consumption out of the ambit of GST. Are state governments were not ready. Already you are getting huge amount of taxes. Why will any state government agree? Right? They don't want to lose out on liquor revenue, liquor tax. State government is not at all interested to leave. They want to keep it in their custody only. So that's why the definition is written like this. That okay, Article 366 is there, right? Clause 12A is there. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So this is excluded, right? On this no GST, right? This way you should understand. Now tell me what are the features of GST. First feature, GST is obviously a tax. Nothing to specially tell. GST is a tax. That's it. Tax means a compulsory financial charge on the taxpayer. Correct? So GST is a tax. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. Earlier, for services, service tax was there. For goods, excise, GST, VAT were there. But now, uniformity. All are equal. One nation, one tax. So what they did? They said on supply of goods and services, only one tax. That is GST. Okay. Third one. GST is a consumption based tax. Suppose you are a sadhu. You are just doing meditation. Nothing. You don't want water. You don't want food. You don't want anything. You are truly happy with the spiritual journey. You are not consuming. So nobody can charge GST to you. But suppose you are not a sadhu. You are consuming the goods. You are a normal civilian. You are consuming the goods. On that, GST is there. Are you able to understand? So, on the consumption of goods and services, GST is charged. So, GST is a tax. First, understand it's a tax on the supply of goods and services, on the consumption of such goods and services. This way, you should understand. Right? Consumption doesn't mean that you should open the packet and eat it. If you bought, it is treated as consumed. Right? If you purchased it, it is treated as you have consumed it. GST is a destination based tax. What does this mean? I'll tell you, there are two types of systems. One is origin based tax, one is destination based tax. Let me explain to you. From Hyderabad, Telangana, I am selling goods to Maharashtra. Now, Telangana is the origin of the goods, correct? So, it's a origin state. And Maharashtra, because the buyer stays there, it is a destination state. Right? So, the seller state is basically origin state. And buyer state is basically destination state. And in GST, what they did, government decided that you assume who is the maximum highest supplier of textile products in India, Gujarat. Right? For diamonds, Gujarat. So if suppliers are there, they are supplying the goods. Fine. What's the problem? No problem. But if the supplier state collect the tax, if the origin state collects the tax, the richer state will become more richer, the poorer will become more poor. So that's why government said origin system is not good. Then what is good? Destination system. Let the buyer state collect the tax. What I am telling, let the buyer's state collect the tax. Right? This way, the buyer state will collect the tax. This way, government revenue will also increase and it is fair also. So GST is a tax. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. GST is a consumption based tax. GST is a tax on is a destination based tax. Last thing I'll tell you. The last thing goes like this. It's a value added tax. I already said with an example, multi-point tax system. Multi-point tax system, I think. So what did you realize in this? If it is a multi-point tax system, then definitely on the value addition tax level that I gave with an example. Okay, I'll tell you. Suppose I gave multi-point tax system 100 rupees, 150 rupees, 180 rupees example we gave now. That's perfectly fits here. Okay, right. So it's a multi-point tax system on value addition. So that's why the lawmakers say that GST is a value added tax. The boundaries of center and state are removed and they have come together to levy the tax, and that is called as GST. Right? So GST is a tax. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. GST is a consumption based tax. That means if you consume the goods and services, you pay the tax. Right? It's a destination based tax. That means buyer's state will get the tax. And finally, it is basically a multi-point tax system on value addition. If you have to understand this, then only you will become perfect. So it's a multi-point tax system on value addition. Then, this is how you should understand the features of GST. Now, so we understood the features of indirect tax. Oh, features of GST. So what we discussed, first thing, GST is defined under Article 366, Clause 12A. What it says? It's a tax on supply of goods and services other than alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Actually, what happened earlier in the olden days, I'll tell you. Central government was to eat in its own plate separately. Okay. Suppose two friends are there, right? One is central government, one is state government. So central government was to go, it was to take whatever food it want, it will eat. State government also want to go separately. Whatever food they want, they will eat separately. Now what they did, why should we go separately? Let us arrange a big plate and eat together. That is what the basic funda of GST, right? But ultimately they said, no, alcoholic liquor I will not share. That's what the state government said. So that's why Article 366 Clause 12A says that GST is a tax on goods and services, supply of goods and services other than alcoholic liquor for human consumption. GST is a tax. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. GST is a consumption-based tax, destination-based tax. That means buyer state can collect the tax. Of course, yeah. Central government will collect, state government will collect, both will collect, correct? So central is only one. Then which state should collect? Seller state or buyer state? So buyer state will collect, we said. And finally, it's a value added tax which I explained. So revision done. Let's go to the constitutional amendments in GST. Right? So, government, why actually there is a need for constitutional amendment? Because constitution don't have any law, any article which supports this type of taxation. Let me tell you. There are so many indirect taxes like CST was there, CST was there, CST was there, VAT is there, excise duty is there, luxury tax is there, entertainment tax is there, service tax is there, countervailing duty is there, special countervailing duty is there. So many taxes are there. Some are levied by state, some are levied by central. Now, in this context, if we have to integrate all these taxes, right, merge all these taxes, but some are central, some are state. if we have to integrate and merge in Article 246, there should be some provision or not? Because Article 246 says union list, state list, concurrent list. And in concurrent list, there is no such concept of levying tax together. Levying tax simultaneously. There is no such concept. So when there is no concept as such, so there is a constitutional amendment required to make a provision, bring articles to accommodate such new concept. And that's why a new article, that is Article 246A, right? You can see special provisions, right? Actually, A is missing, you have to write. So Article 246A special provisions are required. Now what they tell? They simply say, notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and Article 254. Central government and state government can simultaneously make law relating to tax on the supply of goods and services. So they can simultaneously make the law. That's what Article 246A said. Not only they said that simultaneously central government, state government can make the law together, but they said that 246 is not relevant. 254 is not relevant. Why? Because 246 talks about separate powers. Now, if you have to give collective powers, you have to say 246 is irrelevant here. For GST, it is irrelevant. Okay. Secondly, 254 says that central government is powerful. If any gray area comes where state government don't have their laws, concurrent lists don't have any laws, then obviously central government has the edge. If there is a conflict, central government has edge, right? That's what 254 article says. But in GST, no state government is okay if central government has the edge. So that's why they said, when we simultaneously make the law, Article 246, Article 254 are not relevant. So when it comes to GST, will Article 246 apply? No. Will Article 254 apply? No. Will Article 246A apply? Yes, absolutely yes. So actually, Constitutional Amendment Act, right? 201 Constitutional Amendment was brought to actually bring this article. Article 246A. So notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and Article 254, central government and state government can simultaneously make the law in relation to supply of goods and services. Clear? But the problem is, if suppose one state is there, if some goods are supplied from Telangana in Telangana only, then there is no problem at all, because one central government, one state government, very happy going together. But suppose if goods are supplied from Andhra Pradesh to Telangana, Telangana to Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh to Uttar Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh, right? From Bihar to Jharkhand, Jharkhand to Uttarakhand. So if supply of goods happen from one state to another, then two states are involved, correct? They may fight with each other. So that's why they said, in relation to interstate supply. Interstate supply means from one state to another state. In relation to interstate supply, that means in relation to interstate supply means from one state to another state. In relation to interstate supply of goods and services, central government reserves the power. The Parliament of India reserves the power. Parliament of India can only make the law. Okay. So state governments cannot make the law in relation to supply of goods from one state to another. So sir, Article 246A. Article 246A says central and state together can make the law, simultaneously can make the law. But if it is relating to single state, no problem. But if it is multi-state, then so that's why central government has the special power. Okay, clear to all of you? Right. Now, they simply said that if it is petroleum products like aviation turbine fuel, petroleum, gas, right, motor spirit, what about this? These are not included in GST. But what happened? I'll tell you. Central government, state government, all ministers together made one council. We call it as GST council. What we will call it as? GST council. In lecture 4, we'll discuss about it in detail. Okay. So central and state government finance ministers made one group and we call it as council, where all of them together discuss and actually prepare the law in relation to GST. So this council will decide when the petroleum products like aviation turbine fuel, like motor spirit, petroleum, diesel, gas, right, will be included in GST. As of now, it is not. Right? So Article 279A talks about GST Council. Article 279A talks about GST Council. And GST Council by notification can include these products like petroleum, natural gas, right? Aviation turbine fuel, motor spirit, include these products in GST by notification. Now you will ask me, sir, did they include from so many years from 2017 till 2025? The answer is not at all. And we are not expecting that they will definitely include. We are not expecting at all. Why? Everybody would have heard the news. Generally, market price of petrol is 50 rupees. Right? But after adding taxes, it goes to 100 rupees. Now, if so much of taxes central and state are collecting in relation to petroleum products, why will they include in GST and lose the revenue? They will not. So that's why as of now it is not included. But Article 279 talks about GST Council, says that they have the power to give notification to include petroleum, natural gas, right? Aviation turbine fuel included in GST. They have that power. Now, is it over? The answer is no. Article 248 is there. What this Article 248 says? 248 actually gives central government some powers, extra powers. Wherever the law relating to the state list or concurrent list is silent, there central government, the parliament will get the power to make the law. Here there is a change. They said it's fine, but except GST. So what is the new Article 248? Wherever the state list or concurrent list is silent, central government can make the law, but except for GST. So in relation to GST, they cannot. This is how you should understand. Now let me tell you, there is an article called as Article 269A. What is the article number? 269A. Partly I explained but fully I'll explain now. Okay. It talks about interstate supply of goods and services. I said or not? Maharashtra to Gujarat, right? Jammu and Kashmir to Haryana, Punjab to Chhattisgarh, right? Telangana to Andhra Pradesh, right? Madhya Pradesh to Uttar Pradesh. We discussed or not? Yes. So if it is interstate supply of goods and services, central government, the parliament has special powers to make the law. And state has nothing to do in it. But central government will make the law, central government will collect the GST, but half of the GST they will give it to destination state. So only in relation to making the law, only in relation to making the law, only in relation to making the law, only in relation to collecting the taxes, central government has the edge in interstate supply of goods and services. After that, 50% half should be distributed to the destination state. What is the GST called? If it is from one state to another, we call it as IGST. What is IGST? Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Okay. Now, if central government has the power, then central government will tell when the supply happened, the time of supply. Correct? Because when goods transfer from one state to another, what is that point of time when supply happened? What is the place where supply happened? Suppose example, I am having Airtel SIM and I am actually traveling across the country talking to people. I am doing recharges from multiple states, wherever I am staying. Now, when Airtel rendered service to me, in which state it should be considered, or multiple state it should be considered? The answer is the state where you purchase the SIM. So in that area only you are actually considered to be enjoying the service. Right? This way, relating to place, there are so many conflicts. Like when you travel by air, you travel multiple states. When you travel by train, you travel multiple states. So when you travel like that, from which state the GST should be given to? Of course, central government will collect. But which state it should be given? Obviously the destination state. So this law who will make? Relating to time, relating to place, central government has the power to make the law in relation to time and place of supply also. In relation to interstate supply of goods or services. This way you should understand the constitutional validity of all the provisions. Now, I will ask you a question, you try to tell me the answer. Which amendment act the GST was made? 201. Very good. What is the reason that GST was brought? To integrate all the taxes and make one nation, one tax. But was there a constitutional provision to do such thing? Article 246 talks about separate powers to make the tax laws. But there is no power to make combined law. So then what is the new article required or made? 246A. It says, we discussed it, correct? What did it say? It said simply central and state can collectively make the laws. No problem. Right? Collectively they can make the laws. Then 246A we discussed. Collectively they have the power to make the law. But whenever we discuss about 246A, please remember 246 will not apply, 254 will not apply. So this GST is beyond the powers of 246 and 254. The powers are in the hands of 246A. Okay. Ultimately, we discussed that if it is alcoholic, if it is petroleum products, natural gas, crude, then definitely please remember that GST Council will decide when this will come under GST. That is Article 279. 269 is simply, 248 is one thing, right? 248 says the central government has the power to make the laws wherever state list and concurrent list is silent. What they changed? They said everything is same but except GST. So on GST, central government cannot independently make the law. They have to collectively make the law and simultaneously pass the law. And for that, GST Council, a common group is created. Then we discussed Article 269A on interstate supply of goods and services. Central government has the power to levy IGST. And after making the law, collecting the taxes, distribute half the taxes amongst destination states. Right? Regarding time of supply, value of supply, place of supply also, 269A empowers the central government to make the law. So we discussed so many provisions till now. Revise like this. I am actually teaching and revising, teaching again and revising, so that it would be stored in your mind. But don't just shut down the books like that. Observe it once, recollect everything, then close them. Okay. With this, we completed the second lecture for today. We'll meet in the third lecture in the next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye, everybody.